Fiancée admitted to her friends she's only marrying me for money, so I dumped her and cut her off. I thought I had found the perfect woman, someone who truly loved me for who I was. We had been together for 3 years, and when I finally proposed, I believed we were about to start our happily ever after. But fate had other plans. One evening, as I arrived home early from work, I heard laughter from the backyard. My fiancée had her closest friends over, chatting away, completely unaware that I was within earshot. What I overheard sent chills down my spine. With a mocking tone, she boasted about how she had secured the bag by getting engaged to me. She laughed as she explained that she was not actually in love with me, just my money. The more I listened, the more my stomach turned. At that moment, I realized I had to end it. But I was not just going to walk away. I was going to make sure she regretted every word. I met Olivia 3 years ago at a charity event hosted by a mutual friend. She was elegant, charming, and had an infectious smile that could light up any room. We hit it off immediately, and soon enough, we were spending every waking moment together. Olivia had this way of making me feel like the most important man in the world. She would listen attentively when I spoke, laugh at my jokes, and always showered me with affection. As our relationship progressed, I found myself falling deeper in love with her. She seemed to be everything I had ever wanted: beautiful, intelligent, and supportive. I had always believed in hard work, and by my early 30s, I had built a successful business that provided me with a very comfortable lifestyle. Olivia, who worked as an event planner, always admired my ambition and often expressed how lucky she was to have someone so driven. When I proposed to her, it felt like a dream come true. She cried tears of joy, hugged me tightly, and excitedly said yes. I felt like the luckiest man alive, convinced that I had found my forever partner. We started making wedding plans, discussing venues, guest lists, and even our honeymoon destination. Everything seemed perfect until that fateful evening when I overheard a conversation that shattered my illusions. Background: 350 words. Before Olivia, I had always been cautious in relationships. I had seen firsthand how money could attract the wrong people. Growing up, my father had built a successful company, and I watched as many people tried to take advantage of his generosity. Because of this, I had always been wary of gold diggers and people who valued wealth over love. I never wanted to be with someone who only saw dollar signs when they looked at me. With Olivia, I had let my guard down. She had always insisted that she loved me for who I was, not for what I had. She never pushed me to buy her expensive things, and she even paid for her own meals in the early days of our relationship. It was one of the reasons I trusted her completely. But now, I realized she had played the long game, making sure I believed in her sincerity. Looking back, there were subtle red flags that I had ignored. She had a taste for luxury, always talking about expensive brands, dream vacations, and designer outfits. While she never outright asked me for money, she often hinted at how much she wanted a comfortable life. She also had a particular fascination with wealthy couples, constantly comparing our relationship to those of famous billionaires and their glamorous wives. Still, I never thought much of it. I convinced myself that she was simply ambitious, someone who wanted the best in life. But that night, when I heard her laughing with her friends, mocking my trust, I realized the truth. I had been nothing more than a financial plan to her, a stepping stone to the lifestyle she desired. It was time to act. I was not just going to cancel the wedding. I was going to make sure she faced the consequences of her deception. The night I discovered Olivia's true intentions was supposed to be just another casual evening. She had invited a few of her friends over for a small get-together, nothing out of the ordinary. I was working late in my home office while they laughed and chatted downstairs. Normally, I would have joined them, but I had some last-minute work to wrap up, so I stayed behind. At some point, I stepped out of my office to grab a drink from the kitchen. As I passed by the living room, I overheard my name. I paused instinctively, not intending to eavesdrop, but curious about what they were discussing. What I heard next sent a chill down my spine. One of Olivia's friends, Rachel, was laughing as she said, "Girl, you really hit the jackpot with this one." Olivia giggled, her voice dripping with smug satisfaction. "Oh, please. You think I would have settled for anyone else? He is rich, responsible, and so easy to control. He just eats up everything I say. I did not even have to try that hard." Another friend chimed in. "But do you even love him? I mean, you have been with him for years. There has to be something there, right?" Olivia scoffed. "Love? Please. Love does not pay for penthouses, luxury vacations, or designer clothes. Look, I like him, sure, but let us be real. He is just a means to an end. The wedding is just a formality. Once we're married, I will make sure I get my name on everything. A few years, and if I get bored, I will divorce him and take half." The room erupted in laughter. My blood ran cold. I stood there, frozen, my hands clenched into fists. My mind raced, replaying the last 3 years. Every sweet word, every affectionate gesture, it was all an act. A carefully planned scheme to secure a comfortable life. Taking a deep breath, I backed away quietly, ensuring they did not know I had overheard them. My heart pounded in my chest, but I knew I had to stay calm. Storming in and confronting her now would be too easy. No, I needed to be smarter. If Olivia thought she could manipulate me, she had severely underestimated the man she was dealing with. I walked back into my office and shut the door, my mind already working on my next move. I was not just going to end this engagement. I was going to make sure she walked away with nothing. The next morning, Olivia greeted me with her usual bright smile. "Good morning, babe," she chirped, wrapping her arms around me. "Did you sleep well?" I forced a smile, acting as if nothing had changed. "Yeah, I did. Just a bit tired from work." She kissed my cheek. "We need to finalize some wedding details this week. I was thinking we could look at a few venues together." I nodded, playing along. "Of course, let's do that." Internally, I was already setting my plan in motion. First, I contacted my lawyer and had him review all my assets. Luckily, I had always been smart about keeping my finances separate. Olivia was not legally tied to anything I owned. However, to make sure she had no chance of getting anything in the future, I instructed my lawyer to update my will and transfer some of my assets into a private trust. Next, I began preparing for the breakup. I gathered every gift I had given her over the years, expensive jewelry, designer handbags, everything, and made a list of items I had receipts for. Anything that was purchased in my name was coming back to me. Then, I made the final move. I contacted the wedding vendors and canceled every booking, making sure to get refunds where possible. A few days later, I was ready. I invited Olivia out to dinner at an upscale restaurant, the same place where I had proposed to her. She arrived looking radiant, wearing a dress I had bought for her. If only she knew this would be the last time she benefited from my generosity. As we sat down, she reached across the table and held my hand. "I cannot wait to be your wife," she said with a dreamy look in her eyes. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Before we continue with the wedding plans, I need to ask you something, Olivia." She tilted her head. "Of course, what is it?" I leaned forward, my expression unreadable. "Do you love me?" She blinked, clearly caught off guard. "What kind of question is that?" "Of course I do." I held her gaze. "So, it has never been about my money?" Her smile faltered for a split second before she recovered. "Why would you even ask that? You know I love you for who you are." I chuckled softly, shaking my head. "That is funny, because a few nights ago, I heard you say otherwise." Her face drained of color. What do you mean?" I leaned back, my tone calm but firm. "I overheard you talking to your friends. You said you were only marrying me for my money, that you planned to divorce me and take half once you were bored." Her eyes widened. That was just a joke. We were drinking and messing around." I shook my head. "No, Olivia. It was not a joke. It was the truth. And because of that, this engagement is over." She gasped, her hands trembling. "You cannot be serious. We have a life together. You cannot just throw it all away." I pulled out an envelope and slid it across the table. "These are the receipts for everything I ever bought you. I expect those items to be returned. The wedding is canceled. I've already informed the vendors, and your name is no longer tied to anything I own." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Please, you are overreacting. We can talk about this." I stood up, my voice final. "There is nothing left to talk about. You played yourself, Olivia. Now, you can find someone else to fund your lifestyle." With that, I walked away, leaving her sitting there in stunned silence. As I exited the restaurant, I felt nothing but relief. I had dodged a bullet, and Olivia had lost everything she thought she would gain. Little did I know, the drama was far from over. As I walked out of the restaurant, I expected Olivia to call or text, begging for another chance. But to my surprise, she did not reach out that night. Instead, she went silent. It was not until the next morning that I saw the first sign of her retaliation. My phone buzzed with a text from a mutual friend, Mark. "Mark, dude, what happened with Olivia? She is telling everyone you blindsided her and broke up for no reason." I sighed, shaking my head. I should have known she would try to control the narrative. She lied to me. She admitted to her friends that she was only with me for money. I overheard everything. "Mark, damn. She did not mention that part. She just said you got cold feet and humiliated her in public." Typical. Olivia was trying to play the victim. But I was ready for this. Within hours, I started getting more texts from mutual friends. Some were neutral, wanting to hear my side. Others, mostly her close friends, were furious, calling me heartless for ending things so suddenly. Olivia had wasted no time painting me as the bad guy. Then my phone rang. It was Olivia. I debated answering, but decided I needed to hear what she had to say. I picked up, keeping my tone even. "Hello." Her voice was shaky, either from anger or fake tears. "How could you do this to me?" I scoffed. "How could I do this to you?" "Olivia, you were the one planning to use me and leave when it suited you." "That is not true," she snapped. "It was just talk. I never meant any of it. You sure sounded serious when you said love does not pay for penthouses and designer clothes." Silence. Then she tried a new approach. "Okay, maybe I got caught up in the moment. But you really think I do not care about you?" We have been together for years. You are throwing it all away over one conversation. I sighed, rubbing my temples. You threw it away, Olivia. I was ready to spend my life with you. And you turned it into a financial transaction. I am done. She let out a frustrated breath. You are making a huge mistake. No, I'm making the best decision of my life, I said before hanging up. That should have been the end of it. But Olivia was not one to accept defeat gracefully. Later that evening, I got a call from my mother. Sweetheart, I just got a call from Olivia. She was in tears, saying you ended things out of nowhere. What's going on? I sighed. Mom, do not believe a word she says. I caught her admitting that she was only marrying me for my money. My mom gasped. She said that. Word for word, I confirmed. My mom was quiet for a moment before she sighed. I always had a bad feeling about that girl. She was too materialistic. I chuckled. You were right. But Olivia was not done yet. Over the next few days, she tried everything, sending long apology texts, getting her friends to reach out, and even showing up at my place unannounced. Why did not respond? She switched tactics. One morning, I woke up to see a lengthy post she had made on social media. It was a dramatic retelling of our breakup, claiming I had abandoned her, that I was emotionally cold, and that I had led her on for years only to humiliate her. The comments were filled with sympathy and outrage on her behalf. I shook my head. She was desperate, but she had no idea that I had a final card to play. I had recorded the conversation where she admitted her true intentions. I never intended to use it unless necessary, but Olivia had forced my hand. If she wanted to play dirty, I would make sure the truth was out in the open. I uploaded the audio to a private link and sent it to the mutual friends who had been attacking me. Within hours, the tide had turned. Mark texted me again. Mark, bro, Olivia is screwed. Everyone is turning on her. Me good. She brought it on herself. Her fake sympathy vanished as soon as she realized the truth was out. She deleted her social media post and went silent. But her troubles were far from over. A few days later, I got a message from an unexpected person, her boss. Boss, hey, I just wanted to reach out. I heard about what happened with Olivia. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I frowned, unsure why he was messaging me. Thanks, but why are you reaching out? Boss, I'm letting you know that Olivia is no longer employed here. The board was already questioning her performance, but after hearing about the way she treated you, they decided she is not someone they want representing the company. I blinked in surprise. I had not expected that. Meanwhile, I did not expect her job to be affected. Boss, it was not just that. We also found out she was using company funds for personal purchases. The breakup just sped up what was already coming. I stared at my phone, letting the news sink in. Olivia had lost everything. She had played herself. A few hours later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Olivia. I hesitated before picking up. What do you want? She was sobbing now, her voice barely a whisper. They fired me. My friends have turned on me. Everyone knows about the recording. Please, you have to help me. I let out a slow breath. Help you? After everything you did? I was stupid, okay? I did not mean any of it. I was insecure. I did not think you really loved me, so I played it up for my friends. Please, you know me. I shook my head. I thought I did. But now, I see exactly who you are. There was a long silence before she whispered, You hate me. Do you not? I sighed. No, Olivia. I do not hate you. I just do not care anymore. And with that, I hung up. For the first time in years, I felt free. After hanging up on Olivia, I felt a strange sense of peace. I had spent years believing she was my future, but in reality, I had been nothing more than a financial safety net for her. Now I was finally free. But Olivia was not done trying to fix the mess she had created. Over the next few days, she went through a cycle of emotions. First, she tried the pity route, sending me long messages about how she had lost everything and how she deserved a second chance. Olivia, please, I know I was wrong. I got caught up in the moment. I let my friends influence me. But you and I have history. Does that mean nothing to you? I did not reply. When I ignored her, she switched to anger. Olivia, wow, so this is how you treat someone you once loved? You are really going to let my life fall apart over one mistake? You are heartless. I still did not reply. And then, the inevitable happened. She showed up at my apartment. It was late in the evening when I heard a knock at my door. I sighed, already knowing who it was. I debated ignoring it, but I also did not want to deal with her trying again later. I opened the door, and there she was, mascara-streaked face, eyes puffy from crying, her once perfect appearance now disheveled. Please, she whispered. Can we talk? I crossed my arms. There is nothing left to say, Olivia. She shook her head desperately. I know I messed up, but I love you. I always have. She hesitated, searching for words. I was scared. Okay? I have always worried about financial stability, and I let my insecurities get the best of me. I raised an eyebrow. That is funny, because you sounded pretty confident when you were laughing about how my money would set you up for life. She winced, but quickly recovered. I did not mean it. I was just playing along with my friends. I sighed, tired of the conversation. Olivia, even if you were just playing along, that is not something you joke about. If you truly loved me, You would never have said those things. Tears welled up in her eyes again. Please, just tell me what I could do to fix this. I shook my head. You cannot. It is over. Her expression twisted into frustration. So that is it? You're just going to throw me away like I meant nothing to you. I exhaled, keeping my voice calm. No, Olivia. You threw us away. I gave you my love, my trust, and my future, and you treated it like a business deal. That is not love. And I refuse to be with someone who sees me as nothing more than a paycheck. She stared at me for a long moment, realization sinking in. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away. I closed the door, feeling nothing but relief. In the following weeks, Olivia's life continued to spiral. Her old friends, the ones she had been bragging to, started distancing themselves. The truth had spread, and now, instead of admiring her, they saw her as nothing more than a manipulative gold digger. She tried to reach out again, but this time, I blocked her on everything. I also took the opportunity to reflect on myself. For years, I had believed that Olivia and I were meant to be. I had ignored the red flags, the expensive tastes, the constant need for luxury, the subtle ways she had tested my financial limits. Now, with her gone, I realized just how blind I had been. I focused on myself, on my work, my friends, and my happiness. And for the first time in years, I felt truly at peace. Then, one day, I got an unexpected message. It was from Mark, my mutual friend who had initially believed Olivia's lies. Mark, hey man, I owe you an apology. I was quick to judge, and I should have listened to your side from the start. I smiled slightly, appreciating the honesty. Me, it is all good. I'm just glad the truth is out there now. Mark, yeah, I cannot believe she actually admitted all of that in front of people. What was she thinking? Me, she thought I would never find out. That is the thing about people like her. They think they are untouchable until reality catches up with them. Mark sent back a laughing emoji. True. Anyway, I heard you were back in the dating scene. I raised an eyebrow. Me, where did you hear that? Mark, I may or may not know someone who is interested in you. I chuckled, shaking my head. Me, I think I'm taking a break for now, but I appreciate the heads up. He sent another laughing emoji. Fair enough. But when you are ready, let me know. I closed the chat, still smiling. For the first time in a long time, I felt excited about the future. I had dodged a bullet with Olivia. And now, I was finally free to find someone who loved me for who I was, not for what I had. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.